This is Talk of the Nation. I'm Neil Conan in Washington. The debate over stem cells and cloning stirs deep passions, but experts expect much more profound and much more divisive arguments as reproductive technology advances. On a very limited level, some couples already choose their children on the basis of genetics. In vitro fertilization offers a chance to test different embryos and select the one without, for example, Down syndrome. In 10 or 20 years, science may give us many more choices, not just to prevent disease, but to engineer smarter, taller, thinner, stronger children and pass those traits on to later generations. We could, in short, control human evolution. The ethical questions are staggering. To pick just one, might we breed two strains of human, the genetically enhanced and the natural?
Parents will spend $100,000 over a 4-year period to send their children to Princeton University. And if people are willing to spend $100,000 to send their kid to Princeton, they're going to be willing to spend $20,000 to give their children an increased chance of success in life at the genetic level.
And here's the final irony. The expense of genetic engineering means that only the rich could buy disease-free super babies. Class differences between the rich and poor would become genetic differences. Some think that eventually humans could even split into two different breeds.
And here I would like briefly to compare the parable of Brave New World with another parable which was put forth more recently in George Orwell's book 1984. I'm inclined to think that the scientific dictatorships of the future, and I think there are going to be scientific dictatorships in many parts of the world, will be probably a good deal nearer to the Brave New World pattern than to the 1984 pattern. They will be a good deal nearer, not because of any humanitarian qualms in the scientific dictators, but simply because the Brave New World pattern is probably a good deal more efficient than the other. That if you can get people to consent to the state of affairs in which they are living, the state of servitude, the state of being, well, it seems to me that the nature of the ultimate revolution with which we are now faced is precisely this, that we are in process of developing a whole series of techniques which will enable the controlling oligarchy, who have always existed and presumably always will exist, to get people actually to love their servitude. People can be made to enjoy a state of affairs which, by any decent standard, they ought not to enjoy.
In an everywhere world, too, you see that there are many devices, systems, and services that impinge on each user and also on each other. So just by walking down the street, you could be subject to a personal biometric system. You could be scanned by the gateway of the transit system. There could be something embedded in the street or in the flooring beneath you. You could be touching other haptic interfaces, tangible interfaces in the environment around you. The lampposts and the other features of the streetscape could have informational services appended to them. And last but not least, there is this surveillance element. There is a UAV here, a robotic helicopter, which is also surveying the cityscape and communicating with all of those devices. This is really what I mean by a transformation of the relationship between user and device. This person is not a user anymore in any real sense of the English word. They are a subject.
There's a need for a new world order, but it has different characteristics in different parts of the world. Now, none of this may succeed this time, but this, to me, is sort of the outline by which someday, in the next few years, a solution will emerge.